Hi, everyone. This is my WWE Elimination Chamber 2015 pay-per-view review. This was WWE's exclusive event this month, exclusively for the WWE Network. And this was a damn good show. I was expecting something pretty good from it, but it really surpassed my expectations for the show. Even with the way they booked the main event, where it pretty much was booked almost like a house show match, where they did the whole thing of making it look like Dean Ambrose was walking out as champion, then the decision got reversed. But that was still just an awesome thing they just teased right there. And with Seth and, the authority angle and everything, makes perfect sense. And this makes, Dean Ambrose's character go even more off the rails. And obviously they're probably going to have another match at Money in the Bank against each other. So that was a really good main event match. And I guess it was WWE's way of let's test the waters and let's see how the crowd reacts if we ever did give Dean Ambrose the championship, which they obviously are going to do in the future because he has everything that they need and a future World Heavyweight Champion. Just, a really good main event right there. And on this show, it had one of the most unpredictable outcomes of the match because I don't think anyone saw going in this pay-per-view that Kevin Owens was actually going to defeat John Cena. No one saw that coming. He actually defeated John Cena cleanly. Everyone, just like me, thought they were going to go the route of either having John Cena defeat Kevin Owens cleanly or go the one route that I expected them to go, which was the DQ route. But no, they didn't actually go that route. And Kevin Owens and John Cena had an incredible match, easily the best match of the night. And then the chamber matches. The IC title and the chamber could have been a little better. Even with the talent in there, I understand why it wasn't as great as what some chamber matches could be, but it should have been just a little bit better. And I thought the one thing they did with adding Mark Henry into it, because obviously someone had to fill the role of Rusev, I thought that would have been better if they would have threw Neville in there, just made the whole Bo Dallas Neville match with the last minute stipulation of whoever won that got in the chamber. I think that would have been good, especially seeing Neville in a chamber match would have been incredible, and unfortunately they didn't go that route. But the tag team chamber match that kicked off the show, that was really entertaining. Now, it could have been a little better if the final two teams were Cesaro and Kid versus the New Day. That would have been a little better, but still, even with that, really good opener and just a very good show. I would definitely recommend people go out their way to see this, but let me get into my review. The opening match of the pay-per-view was the tag team titles on the line and the Elimination Chamber. This had the Primetime Players versus Los Matadors versus Cesaro and Kid versus New Day versus the Ascension versus Lucha Dragons. And the two teams that started this off was Ascension and Lucha Dragons. And I gotta say, even though not Lucha Dragons, but Ascension are still a little green in the ring, they have been improving recently, I would say, and especially when you have them in there with good tag teams like Lucha Dragons that really are over with the crowd, and Tyson, Kid, and Cesaro. They work really well with them. Started off with Lucha Dragons and Ascension, good back and forth action right there to kick it off. Then you saw Kid and Cesaro out there, and this was really, really good stuff. Just great tag team action here. Everyone doing a lot of crazy things, especially Kalisto. I mean, Kalisto, he climbed to the top of the chamber and did a pretty much splash or whatever you would call it onto all the opponents, knocked them all out. That was great. Insane thing there. You saw El Torito with the Los Matadors. He did a dive, not a dive, but he did, actually he did do the dive, and Ascension called him, threw him into the chamber, into his into the Los Matadors, and you had him do a Hurricane Rana onto Cesaro. I was wishing they would have gotten the spot with Cesaro doing the swing against them. We haven't seen that yet. Guess they might pull that out at some point. The first elimination came when the Ascension eliminated the Los Matadors. No surprise, they were the first eliminated. Then, they made the Ascension look really strong, getting them another elimination. They eliminated the Lucha Dragons. Wish we would have saw Kalisto in the match a little longer, but it was fun for what he was in there, and he did insane stuff while he was in there. And then you had the Primetime Players end up being the team that eliminated the Ascension. And then you saw the New Day and Primetime Players go back and forth with each other. They were the final two teams. Well, Cesaro and Kid, I forgot to mention, Cesaro and Kid got eliminated. Before that, the final two teams were New Day and Primetime Players. Wish it would have been two different teams at the end of it, but I guess they are trying to do something with the Primetime Players since they did have them go all the way to the end of this. but the New Day prevailed. The New Day retained the tag team titles. Really entertaining chamber match to kick off the show. 3.5 stars. Could have been maybe just a little bit better if it was the New Day versus Cesaro and Kid as the final 2 teams, but it was still good nonetheless. Really, really entertaining opener. A lot of great stuff. A lot of great action involved in that match. Then the next matchup was obviously after a chamber match, you have to have a cool down match, and this was the Divas title match with Nikki Bella versus Naomi versus Paige and a triple threat. This match probably wouldn't have been as an awful women's match as it turned out to be. It was just Naomi was really sloppy in here, and it just pretty much the whole entire match was really sloppy, and it was definitely the fault of Naomi. I guess she was out there. She doesn't get these opportunities to be on pay-per-view that often, and I guess she wanted to go out there and try to do everything, and just didn't work. There was a few spots where it almost looked like she injured Paige, and even one point where it looked like she almost hurt Nikki Bella as well, which if you hurt Nikki Bella with her being with Cena, that would have hurt you a lot. Thankfully, no one did get hurt here, at least I don't think anyone got hurt. Nikki Bella retains the title after hitting the rack attack to Naomi, and 1-star match, maybe a dud. It was a pretty awful women's match. Even for WWE main roster standards, it was a pretty piss poor match. But the next match was the match of the night, and a match everyone needs to go out their way to see. This was Kevin Owens versus John Cena. This was a awesome match from start to finish. Just great stuff. I would have never thought we would be seeing Kevin Owens, formerly Kevin Steen, take on John Cena on a WWE event or WWE pay-per-view, whatever you want to call this event. And this was just great stuff. Great back and forth action, them kicking out of each other's finishers. You saw at one point it looked like Cena was going to do the whole Cena coming back because Cena kicked out of the pop-up powerbomb, and then it was looking like he was going to hit the attitude adjustment. Owens ended up actually kicking out of the attitude adjustment, and then shockingly, after the second pop-up powerbomb, Cena loses to Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gets the biggest win of his career, definitely of his WWE career so far, and probably one of his biggest careers to date, because obviously it's going to be a very memorable victory, especially with them going the route of having him win cleanly against John Cena. This was just an awesome wrestling match from start to finish. Just a lot of great action, tons of stuff. They were kicking out each other's finishers and everything. You had, Kevin Owens doing the whole thing and mocking John Cena with the, he was about to do the 5-knuckle shuffle in the match. Then Cena called him in the STFU, trying to get him to tap out. Then Owens ended up getting to the rope, and just great stuff in here. Definitely a match everyone needs to go out their way to see. Definitely the thing that was the best on this whole entire show. 4.5 stars. One of WWE's best matches of the year so far. And then the next matchup after that, just like the chamber match, you have to have a cool down match, and this was Bo Dallas versus Neville. These two have had better matches with each other in the past. This was just something you would expect to see on Raw or a pre-show match. Just wasn't that good. I couldn't get into it. As much as I like Neville, did his thing in there, but just could not get into the match at all, and Neville ended up winning the match after hitting the red arrow. And about 1.5 stars, 1 3/4 star match. Just a match I couldn't get into, but it was kind of in the spot of the show where no one cared after having Kevin Owens and John Cena. Then after that, having a chamber match, it was like the dead spot of the show right there was the Bo Dallas and Neville match. Just couldn't get into it. Obviously, that and the Divas match were really the only weak things on this show. Then the next matchup was the other chamber match. This was for the Intercontinental title, the vacant Intercontinental title, to decide who will be the new champion. And this originally was going to have Rusev in here. He got replaced by Mark Henry. As I said earlier, I think they should have went the route of having Neville replace him, and because that would have made perfect sense since they were doing Bo Dallas and Neville on this pay-per-view. At least you would have had a little more meaning to that match if they were fighting over position to be in the Elimination Chamber, but that didn't happen, so you had Mark Henry filling in for Rusev's spot. Then the other competitors were Sheamus, RTruth, Ryback, Dolph Ziggler, and Wade Barrett. It starts off with Dolph Ziggler and Wade Barrett. This was really good action from the get-go with these two when they were in the ring with each other. Good back and forth action. They worked very well with each other. Wade Barrett and him just pretty much clicked very well in the ring, I think. Then you saw RTruth getting there. RTruth looked really strong in this match, even though he didn't last that long. He actually lasted a decent amount of time in the match, longer than what you would ever expected. But when he was in there, he probably looked the best I've seen him in a little while. Sheamus, what he did when he was supposed to be coming out of the chamber, that was great heelish stuff he did right there, because they were playing it off that the chamber door couldn't get open, and Sheamus wanted to get out, and he was acting like, goddamn, why are you not letting me out of this chamber? But this whole time, while he was doing this, he had something in there, I think the necklace or something, the Sheamus necklace or something, that was blocking the door, so he was pretty much, wanting to stay inside the chamber, but playing real well, and that was a great heel tactic from right there. And then Mark Henry got in this match a whole lot earlier than what they probably planned to. You had a spot where one of the pods get busted open, and that was Mark Henry's one. You had Dolph Ziggler get slammed into it by Wade Barrett, and that got Mark Henry involved in the match. But as far as the eliminations go, the first elimination was RTruth eliminating Barrett, then Ryback eliminated RTruth, then Sheamus eliminated Henry, and then Sheamus eliminated Dolph Ziggler. I was really wishing that they would have had a Dolph Ziggler-Sheamus finale in this, but it was Sheamus and Ryback. And I gotta say, Ryback is as bad as they pushed him, and probably had a star on their hands at one point. The crowd is still on his side no matter what, and I think WWE did do the smart move here with having Ryback pick up the victory after hitting the shell shock to Sheamus. So Ryback is your new Intercontinental Champion. This possibly will revitalize his career. This is definitely a good start for him, because as much as I will say, Ryback might be a little sloppy in the ring, he's not the greatest wrestler. He does connect with the crowd, and as bad as you're booked like him and you're still connecting with the crowd, that's saying a lot right there. I mean, obviously, it might just be the Feed Me More chant that the crowd loves, but the crowd, I think, does love Ryback, and this was a big victory for him. Definitely, a turnaround point in his career. I thought this chamber match could have been a little bit better, but it was at least a solid chamber match. It wasn't great. The tag team one was much, much better. This was probably, 3 stars at best, maybe 3 1/4 stars. And then after that, Daniel Bryan gets in the ring with the IC title, gets on the mic, plays to the crowd, then hands the title to Ryback, and then puts Ryback over as, the new Intercontinental Champion, and says he deserves it. And obviously this will be, like I said, a point in Ryback's career where maybe this will lead to bigger and better things for him. It's definitely going to put him back on the shot to possibly, catapult himself back to the main event picture, because that's obviously what the IC title is supposed to be. But, like I said, a solid chamber match there, just not as good as the tag team one. Then the main event was Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE title. This was great stuff. Great for a main event match, even with the false finish ending they did here, where they played to the crowd that Dean Ambrose was going to win, that Dean Ambrose won the title, but then the decision got reversed. I'll talk about how they did that in a second, but great stuff in here, just awesome back and forth action. These two always work good with each other. Obviously, this is, a program that you can continuously do, and the crowd is not going to get bored with it, because Seth Rollins plays the role of a coward heel perfectly, and Dean Ambrose is just someone that connects with the crowd so well, which I'm glad he does. Just a long time ago, I would have never thought that he would have connected the crowd this way, but he has connected with the crowd perfectly, and obviously has shown with the whole thing of it seeming like he won the title here, and the crowd popped. The crowd is going to go bananas when he actually does win the WWE title. But the way they did the finish here was there was a ref bump involved in the match. You saw Dean Ambrose go to the top rope. He was about to do his elbow spot to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins pulls the ref in front of him. Dean Ambrose accidentally hits the ref, so the ref's knocked down. And then after this, you have Seth Rollins go up for the Phoenix Splash. He doesn't hit it. Dean Ambrose moves out the way, then hits Dirty Deeds for the finish. Another ref comes out there. 1, 2, 3. It's looking like you got a new champion with Dean Ambrose winning the WWE title. And then the decision gets reversed after the other referee comes to, and the decision gets that Dean Ambrose won the match via disqualification. So obviously he wins the match, but Seth Rollins is still the champion. So, a good way to have Seth retain the championship and then just hold off pulling the trigger for Dean Ambrose, even though I would have said the crowd, and especially everyone watching this, probably would have been okay, even though Seth just won the title not that long ago. People would have loved if they would just pulled the trigger here early and had Dean Ambrose win the title. But I guess you want to say Dean Ambrose win the title for the first time at a big pay-per-view. This is just, you know, an event that WWE pretty much threw together at last minute. This wasn't an actual pay-per-view. This is just an event for the WWE Network. But even with the finish right there, that was an entertaining main event. Really enjoyed it. Even with the finish, I still probably have to give the main event, you know, 3 3/4 stars, maybe even 4 stars, because I did enjoy the match, and it was great stuff for what they did, even with the finish. And the finish, it wasn't one of those, like, tainted finishes where it hurt the pay-per-view a lot. Maybe some people hated the finish, but it didn't bother me too bad that they ended it that way. But as far as the overall rating for the show, I probably would give the show about an 8.25 out of 10. This was a hell of a show from WWE. Definitely something I did not expect to be as good as what it turned out, especially with this just being like a show that WWE just pretty much put together the last minute, and like I said, wasn't an actual official pay-per-view. It's just for the network, and doing shows like this and putting on something like this for the network, exclusively for the network, this is stuff that will drive people to subscribe to the network. Even though this whole month for new subscribers has been free, doing more shows like this exclusively, maybe not doing it that often because you don't want to kill your audience with too many pay-per-views, too many special events. But if you do these, you know, maybe a few times, maybe do another one, you know, before SummerSlam or after SummerSlam to a degree, in between some other major event you want to do that. Just don't overkill them, because you don't want to kill the people, because what WWE's been doing pretty much last month is just feels like not every week, but every 2 weeks you get another show. Every another week you get another show, and it just seems like they're cramming too many shows down our throats at the point. But this was a really good show, definitely a show I would definitely recommend you to go out your way to see. And that's it for my WWE Elimination Chamber 2015 pay-per-view review. All right, peace.